So, I quit my job this last week. Dysphoria, a state of unease or generalized dissatisfaction with life. Have you woken up every day feeling as though this is not the life you were meant to live? This is not the purpose you were meant to pursue. What did you do? Did you decide that it was best to stay in line, that change was too difficult or too disruptive? Did you decide you need to suck it up and push through it? I had a moment recently, as I've come to realize over the last year or two or three, that I'm very unhappy with my life. I was having a particularly bad day and looked inward and said to myself to hype myself up,
life is not meant to be easy. An easy life is a life unfulfilled. Good things do not come easily. Suffering, discomfort, unhappiness. These are characteristics necessary to achieving a fulfilling life.
And this motivated me to finish that day. But I did not feel pride. I did not look back and say, fuck yeah, I showed that day who's boss, because I looked at the same day coming up tomorrow. And a day I was going into having spent my motivation and discipline on the day just finished. And the day after that would be another one. And the day after that would be another one. And nothing was accomplished aside from survival. Nothing was gained beyond maintaining the status quo of a life I was already starting to lose the point in living. And the lesson to that story is that sometimes life isn't about sucking it up and pushing through. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's about recognizing what needs to change. And I will put myself through trials and tribulations every day if left to my own free will. I will walk for miles for no other reason other than just to see if I can. I'll try to lift as much weight as possible, not to impress anyone, but to prove to myself that I can. I will take things to extremes and do things the hard way because it seems like fun. But working a job where I perform extremely well to make someone else millions of dollars while I wait above the poverty line, watching my commute get longer and longer as the Michigan infrastructure and weather patterns only seem to extend the earth beneath the wheels of my car, getting better and better at saving money only to watch the economy eat up the difference and then some. It is not a beautiful struggle. It is a slow and agonizing death, void of meaning, as I watch my hopes, dreams, and beauty in the world wash away into dust. And there's no amount of discipline or grit which will make pushing straight ahead a fix to this. Only change. Only change. I saw the TV glow. It's not a trans story, but it is, but so basically I saw a TV glow. It was about these two teenagers who are really into this sci-fi mystery action show. Think Miraculous. For my viewers, if any of y'all are still here, you got this guy, he's a villain, he's preying on negative emotions, turning people into Monster of the Week. That's basically the same idea. These two teenagers, they're really into this show. On one hand you got Maddie. Maddie's like the cool mean girl. Then you got Owen, who's like very introverted, clearly neurodivergent.
I know there's something wrong with me. My parents know it too, even if they don't say anything.
And like they managed to bond over the shared interests of the Pink Opaque. And they're both very invested in this, and they start to become very close despite both kind of being a little bit antisocial. And then at one point, Maddie's like, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of this town. Like, something bad is gonna happen. I don't know what, but I can just tell something bad is gonna happen if we don't get out of here. And Owen's like, yeah. And then he just bails, and then Maddie disappears for years. So Owen continues on with life. He graduates high school and kind of lives out that typical, didn't go to college, working crappy jobs, post-high school life. And then one day, Maddie just reappears.
Ma'am? Do
you remember me?
And Maddie is like, Owen, do you remember the Pink Opaque? And he's like, yeah, of course I remember. It was like the best show ever. And she's like, what if I told you that we are in the Pink Opaque? We are the characters. The bad guy won and we are dying right now. And we need to escape this realm. This is where he sent us to live out mundane, unfulfilling, miserable lives until we die in real life. And Owen's like, you are crazy. That is not what happened. You are trying to find meaning in this meaningless life that we have been forced to live, and this is just how life is. Like, yeah, it's not good, but you know, I mean, it's not broken. It might be a little bit broken, but you know, it works. Like, you're just unhappy with life, and you're just trying to find this insane explanation for why we're so unhappy, when in reality, this is just what life is. And so he rejects her attempt at trying to get him to go with her back into the real world. This is like where you see the very clear symbolic split of these two characters, where you have Maddie, who is like very impulsive and idealistic, and she is trans, which is like an expression of her knowing deep down that this has been the case, and she is trying to express herself as her true self, because both Maddie and Owen were born as boys in this, mundane, unfulfilling, like, torture realm. And she is actually taking steps to, like, become her true self that we know she is, just based on, like, the canon of the universe. Whereas Owen, he is someone who doesn't want to disrupt, he doesn't want to go against the current, he doesn't want to go against the status quo. And the reason being, it's not because of any moral failing, but because he's scared. He is afraid, he is on this track. He is doing what he's supposed to do. It's doing okay for him. It's not doing great, but all things considered, look how lucky he is. He gets this job. He gets another job where he can, buy a house. He can be independent, have a level of security.
I even got a family of my own. I love them more than anything.
Why disrupt that? Even if he is incredibly unhappy and he knows deep down that this is true. This is the case. But why mess things up? Why fight back? Why resist? And eventually the story does get to a point where Owen continues on with his life and he is slowly dying, and it becomes undeniable the reality of what he's in.
I'm dying right now!
The true horror of this story is the fact that this is not... It is such a abstract and surreal idea that you are living in this dream of like a miserable, normal life while your true self, who you be happier as, is slowly dying. It feels like this surreal, it is on paper a surreal abstract thing, but it really is reality. It is reality for the vast majority of people, and I think like this is not something that was like an aha moment for me, but I think it does help in conveying this message and conveying this fact. I've always empathized with trans people, not because I felt like any obligation to, but because of the fact that I can empathize with the experience of being trans. I think everybody at some point in their life, maybe not everybody, some of us get very lucky, but many of us, we look at the path we're on, we look at the life that we have, and we realize, this is not who I am. This is not the life I want to live. And it takes so much courage, and it takes so much bravery and strength to get off that road, go off into the unknown, and find who you're really supposed to be. And that, I care so much for my trans brothers and sisters because I know that's what they're doing, and they're doing so in a world that is shoving so much adversity and discrimination in their face as they try and do that. But it is something where in reality all of us are going to cross that road. Everyone has to look in the mirror and really ask themselves at some point, is this who I want to be? Is this the life I want to live? And if the answer is no, are you going to have the courage to actually confront that? And I do think that a lot of transphobia and bigotry really does come from the fact that a lot of people look themselves in the mirror and cannot confront that reality. They cannot confront what needs to be done. And they see people who are going through that, who are taking that step, and they see people like me who embrace that and are tolerant of that and celebrate that, and they feel a resentment towards that because they are miserable in their own lives. And they are not willing to take the risks and these steps because it is scary. It is terrifying, but they're not willing to take that step to actually realize and be who they want to be, to live the life they want to live. They want to just accept whatever slop is given to them by life, and they don't want to challenge that. And if you challenge that, you're just making problems. You're creating problems, and you're making an issue where doesn't need to be one. Is, I think, the mindset of a lot of people. But the alternative is one day you're at work, another day, another miserable day, and it just hits you that you're dying. Every day you are closer to death, and this is how you're spending your life. You really gotta ask yourself, is that the reality you want to live with? Is that how you want to live?
I kept waiting for her to show back up, to force me underground, but she never did. I never saw her again.
So I saw the TV glow. I think I saw that for the first time 1 year ago, maybe 2 years. Honestly, the time's starting to get away from me. The last 3 years have kind of been a blur. A lot has happened, but a lot of it's kind of running into itself. This week I quit my job. I've been there for 3 years. I worked very hard to be the absolute best in my job that I could. And I was one of the best in my job. And something that I did learn in the process of having that job is sometimes you gotta stop being humble. Like, I think that as a rule, humility is a good thing that most people need to strive to have a bit more of. In my case, I learned you gotta stop being humble after a certain point and just accept it. Like, dude, you are genuinely one of the best people at your job, and you're not being treated as though you're one of the best people at your job. You're not being shown the respect, you're not being shown the dignity, you're not being paid according to that. And on top of everything, I'm not living the life I want to live. The life I'm living is just not, it's not leading me anywhere. When I saw the TV glow for the first time, it really resonated with me, not because I'm trans. If I am, that's a bridge we gotta cross at a later date. But no, it resonated with me because I realized I was Owen. I realized that was the trajectory I was on, that I was going to continue down the path, and if I didn't do something drastic, I would just one day be at my dead-end job, living a boring, mundane life, and just realize that I'm dying, slowly, accomplishing nothing. And also, as of recording this, last night I went and saw Twice. And for those of you who have been following me, or my social media, or this channel for any period of time, you probably know that Twice is my favorite music group, and I do have a wide range of music tastes, so I think that there's some legitimacy to me saying, like, yeah, Twice is probably the best music group of all time. And I talked in a video I made 3 years ago that is on this channel about me leaving YouTube to go have this job where I did all these things. I was amazing, and I did transform my life in a lot of ways, but ultimately found myself unhappy with where I ended up. And there have been times genuinely where it's been difficult for me to listen to Twice, because my relationship with Twice is that these are 9 women who are roughly the same age as me, and they're, in some abstract ways and some not so abstract ways, essentially doing with their lives what I want to do with mine. I don't necessarily want to be a K-pop idol in a girl group, but the effect that they have had on me, I want to have on other people. The motivation, the positive effect on the world that they have had, just, it is something where they're on the other side of the glass of where I want to be in life. And of course, there's a lot of factors that go into that where it's like, that's a silly comparison to make. Of course, they all have individually had like socioeconomic and just like circumstantial advantages that I did not have, etc., etc. There are so many factors that go into it, and I shouldn't compare myself, but I think especially seeing them in person and seeing these are just, you know, flesh and blood people the same age as me who have had such an impact on my life and on so many other people's lives, and they are doing such amazing work. And it really, why am I working a job that I hate when I should be doing something more productive? I think just seeing the people who have affected me that much, especially like 3 years ago, I talked about what an effect Mina had on me. And I will admit that to this day, I continue to look to her because she was born the same year as me. I was lucky enough to be born the same year as her. I don't care how bad things seem in the world. I don't care how negative things seem, how hopeless things seem. If I was born the same year as that person, there's a reason to live. And seeing her just like 30 feet away from me, that just had an effect on me where I'm like, dude, I need to do something. I need to do something with my life. And now I'm in a position where it's like, okay, I've taken that jump. I broke the cycle. I'm not Owen anymore. But now I gotta do the work. And now I really gotta just lock in. I gotta do everything here with the music. I will say this, as far as not being humble, I do genuinely feel like I'm an amazing songwriter. I feel like the songs that I'm writing really do mean something. I do feel like one day, if I just keep going, I just keep pushing and just lock in and do my absolute best with everything here, I'll be on the other side of the glass. I will be able to actually fulfill my purpose and do something to make the world a better place. And the first step was leaving my job. Leaving my job that wasted my precious time. Don't think twice. It's alright. So long, honey. baby. Where I'm bound, I can't tell. But goodbye's too good a word, babe. So I'll just say fare thee well. And I ain't saying that you treated me unkind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kinda wasted my precious time. Well, don't think twice, it's alright.